Karoline Leavitt is not good at her job, and at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if she admitted that herself, because she has made admission after admission this week that has completely screwed Donald Trump, whether it be on his complete capitulation to Vladimir Putin, his cover-up of his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, or the most shocking admission yet in a criminal Trump scandal that has essentially had Leavitt throwing Trump under the bus for his failures and his lies. It is some insanity that we are about to get into, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button, because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we can get into how Leavitt has completely screwed Donald Trump, admitting that he is lying about one of the biggest platforms he is trying to carry out right now, I want to start with what that lie is that Trump is pushing at this current moment in D.C.
Half of the people here, maybe all of the people here, most of you live in D.C., you are petrified to go out, and you're liberal, and if you're liberal, you're going to have to change. You're Democrats, you're going to have to change your ways. So we will have crime under control very shortly in D.C., but they're record numbers, and sadly, what I guess the mayor did, but whoever it was, they asked the numbers to be fudged so that it would show less crime than the fact. The fact is, it's worse than it's ever been. And we will have it just like we did at the border, where with borders are totally in great shape right now, the best ever, record-setting shape. We'll have the crime situation solved in D.C. very soon. And
it is no surprise that the guy who started his political career by talking about fake news, who is actively trying to rewrite history in museums across D.C., who yesterday went on a posting rampage saying that slavery essentially wasn't that bad, is telling you that crime stats aren't actually real. Crime stats that came from the DOJ, by the way, still under Pam Bondi, which really just means an extension of Donald Trump. He's saying that those stats aren't real. This has been such a campaign, really the larger campaign of anti-intellectualism that has been undergone by MAGA. They don't want you to trust anything. They want you to think everything's a lie, everything's a conspiracy, so that when they are actually engaged in conspiracy, like a cover-up of Donald Trump's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, yeah, it's just all part of it. And you distrust everything, so why would you actually care about that? But these stats matter. And before we get into how Leavitt screwed them for Trump, I want to start with someone who gave a real explanation of what's going on here.
Do you think, and what is your message to people in the Capitol and elsewhere who buy into this argument that President Trump is making, that these cities are unsafe in part because of Democratic policies?
Well, first, let's just look at the actual numbers. In Washington, D.C. and all across the country, crime was going up during Donald Trump's first term. And when Joe Biden became president, crime started to come down. In fact, it's been coming down precipitously in Washington and in cities all across the country. So it's just not true, the allegation that they are making. What's happening here in Washington, D.C. is just a stunt. Donald Trump didn't like the fact that the walls were closing in on him, that his own base was questioning why he wouldn't release the Epstein files, why he was protecting very powerful people. He didn't want to talk anymore about the fact that our healthcare system is about to collapse because of the cuts that they have made, that premiums are going to go up by 75% on Americans. And so, true to form, he just decided to create a new news cycle. Nothing different is really happening in the United States Capitol today. Crime will continue to go down, whether or not there are U.S. troops here, National Guard troops here. He's just trying to distract from the stories he doesn't want Americans to be talking about.
I hear you.
This is not an administration inching towards authoritarianism. We are not a frog in steadily warming water, right? It's happening now. This is an authoritarian takeover. We need to care just as much about this as any other issue, because Donald Trump, as already stated, he is bringing his police force to every city across the country, in very specific cities with dense black populations, ahead of elections, I am sure, is what Donald Trump's plan is. Donald Trump wants to intimidate communities and stop them from being able to vote, having basic civil rights. Donald Trump wants to put you in fear. That is what is happening right now, and he'll use any excuse to do it. And Karoline Leavitt has admitted that those excuses are actually lies. Yes, she's so bad at her job, she's throwing Trump under the bus, and we can see it right here. Leavitt admits fixing D.C. crime stats amid DOJ probe. Crime rates in the nation's capital have been hotly contested since Trump's federal takeover. Donald Trump's press secretary Karoline Leavitt has admitted that the White House reconfigured crime statistics to back up the president's claims of lawlessness in Washington, D.C. Despite the Department of Justice probing D.C. officials for allegedly manipulating crime data, Leavitt told reporters the administration had in fact reconstructed their own statistics in response to quote-unquote false media reports about the president's crackdown. I believe it was the Washington Post who put out a map claiming it to be fact-based when it was just based on, I don't know, accounts that they had heard on the street, not actual statistics and data, she told reporters at the White House. So we went and reconfigured the numbers, and as I said, nearly half of all the non-illegal alien-related arrests have occurred in wards 7 and 8 in the District of Columbia, where we know there's the highest rate of crime, so we'll continue to do that. Crime rates in the nation's capital have been hotly contested in recent weeks as the president moved to federalize the D.C. police and bring in the National Guard to tackle what he has depicted as a city of lawlessness, which is just not the case. In another escalation of the debate, the DOJ is also investigating allegations that D.C. officials had manipulated crime data to make the nation's capital seem safer than it is. Undermining facts, undermining stats, intimidating political opponents. This is the classic Donald Trump cover-up. This is the classic Donald Trump move. That is what they are doing in D.C. right now. They want an excuse so that they can say, come election season, right, when we're ramping up, when people are voting, and Donald Trump has cracked down on mail-in voting, he says, if you're voting by mail, I'm going to come and prosecute you, so people go to their polling location. And who's at the polling location? An ICE agent. Or not even an ICE agent, maybe just a masked official, just a masked thug. They've got a weapon. They're intimidating you. You take a sip of water. You realize that the red state that you're in is outlawed giving people water in line. The masked thug comes up to you, says, where did you get it? Harasses you, pulls you out of line. Says we can take you uptown, downtown, where in town, or you can go home. You don't get to vote. I don't think this is a conspiracy or just freaking out right now. Like, why wouldn't that happen? What have we seen that leads us to believe that's not what November 2026 is going to look like? Tell me. Nothing. They are trying to intimidate. They are trying to cover up. And it doesn't just stop in D.C. Of course, it's happening with Epstein as well.
Congressman, thank you very much for coming back tonight. You've had a chance now to take a very careful look at everything the former Attorney General William Barr had to say yesterday. How would you characterize that testimony in relation to Donald Trump?
Well, thanks, Lawrence. And I'm really glad, of course, the Senate is also now taking action. So I do want to say that. That's really important. Look, I think what was pretty clear about the deposition with Bill Barr is that Bill Barr wasn't intimately involved in the Epstein case. There's no way that he could clear Donald Trump of anything or make assumptions about what Donald Trump may have known or not known, because he was not intimately involved. The folks that actually have all of the information were the federal prosecutors, the folks that were involved in the case, Alex Acosta, who we are demanding be deposed and testify in front of us, who we believe has an enormous amount of information. Bill Barr's testimony was important, but nothing substantial actually came out of that. I think what was really interesting is he also made some significant assessments of the way he viewed the Todd Blanche meeting with Miss Maxwell, with Ghislaine Maxwell. It's clear that's something that he believed was very unusual, and we believe it's very unusual as well. And so we've told Comer and the entire committee, look, whether it's Bill Barr or whether it's other testimony in the future, why not release all of these to the public? House Democrats are okay with all these depositions. Let's get the transcripts, let's get the video, and after each one, let's release all of this to the public. If this is really about transparency and about having a government that people can trust, let's put as much information out to the public as possible.
Are you aware of anything in that transcript of the Bill Barr 4 hours yesterday that should not be made public?
No, I think everything can be made public. I think there are going to be some instances. The Bill Barr testimony can be made fully public. Of course, there are going to be some moments where around victims and around making sure that we're protecting victims that we don't want to make public. But as far as Bill Barr's testimony, we'd obviously review it one more time, but there's nothing in that testimony, as I have seen, where that's the whole testimony should not be made public by the Oversight Committee.
Is there a Republican strategy on the committee to their approach to these witness interviews that they're conducting?
Yes. Their strategy is to distract. Their strategy is to handpick Republican witnesses that may not know a lot about the case or about Donald Trump's connection to the files. Their strategy is to slowly leak parts of the Epstein files, which is a reminder they didn't want released at all until we forced that vote. They had no interest in getting the Epstein files released. The DOJ had no interest in releasing any records or documents. It was only the subpoena that we forced that is actually now snowballing what we're seeing in front of us. And what's going to happen over the next few weeks is Republicans are going to put out different members. They want to see witnesses, former administration officials, Democratic officials, Republican officials, but they are not going to get to, or they don't want to focus on what really matters. Right now, today, Pam Bondi and Donald Trump have the power to release the full files and Epstein records today, tonight, right now. No one is stopping them. No one coming in front of us that's going to be deposed can change that the single most important thing that we need are those records. And Bill Barr, by the way, said as much in his testimony. He agreed when pressed if Pam Bondi could release the files today, and we agree with Bill Barr. She has the power to release all of the documents now, and Friday is not good enough. We'll see what we get Friday, but they're going to slow roll what they want to put out. And so we're going to make sure that every step of the way that we verify what's in these documents, we protect the victims, but we're not going to rest until the entire records and files are with us, and then that we can finally eventually get that out to the public.
Well, let me go back and double underline something you just said. It was former Attorney General William Barr's testimony yesterday under oath in that deposition that it is within the power of the Attorney General now to release the entire Epstein files.
Oh yeah, he made that clear, and so I think that that's something that he understands. We all know. I mean, Lawrence, we all heard Pam Bondi. I mean, the files were on her desk. She said it on Fox News. She had access to the entire files. She's read through them. She's done redactions and her team herself.
There is no reason to believe that this administration won't do whatever they can to stop us from exercising our right to vote, our basic civil rights, and going as far as they possibly can in protecting Donald Trump. That's what's happening right now. And it's more important than ever to call that out. We're going to be doing so on this show every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.